I never believed in those romance novels where everything changes with a single kiss. Life as a single mom teaching 4-year-olds their ABCs doesn't leave much room for fairy tales. But standing on that hotel terrace on New Year's Eve, champagne buzz warming my cheeks, I was about to learn that sometimes reality writes better stories than fiction. "Madison, you look amazing." My sister Emma squeezed my arm as we stepped into the glittering ballroom of the Belmont Grand Hotel. She'd been the catering manager here for 3 years, and this was her first time inviting me to their exclusive New Year's gala. "I can't believe you actually wore the dress I picked out." I smoothed down the emerald silk that hugged curves I'd forgotten I had. "Well, Noah's with Mom for the whole weekend, and my Tinder date is supposed to meet me here at 11. Figured I should look the part." "Jake from the app, right? The architect?" "Financial advisor," I corrected, checking my phone. No new messages. "He sent me his photo again this morning. Dark hair, blue eyes, around 6'2". Should be easy to spot." Emma grinned. "This is so exciting. Your first date in how long?" 2 years. I didn't add that the last one had ended when the guy found out Noah was autistic and suddenly remembered he wasn't ready for complicated. As if my beautiful boy was a complication rather than the best thing that ever happened to me. The ballroom was a spectacle of crystal chandeliers and midnight blue decorations. Philadelphia's elite mingled in tuxedos and evening gowns, champagne flutes catching the light like liquid stars. I felt simultaneously overdressed and completely out of place. "I need to check on the kitchen," Emma said. "But the terrace on the 42nd floor has an incredible view. Perfect for a romantic midnight kiss." She winked and disappeared into the crowd before I could protest. I nursed my champagne and made small talk with Emma's coworkers, but my eyes kept drifting to the entrance. By 11:30, Jake still hadn't appeared, and my phone showed no missed calls or texts. The familiar sting of rejection crept in, even though we'd never actually met. "Forget him," I muttered to myself, draining my glass. "At least get your money's worth from the dress." I made my way to the terrace Emma had mentioned, grateful for the cold December air against my flushed cheeks. The city spread below like a carpet of lights, the Delaware River a dark ribbon cutting through the glow. I was alone except for a tall figure at the far end, silhouetted against the skyline. Dark hair, broad shoulders in an expensive suit, the right height. My heart jumped. Jake had made it after all. I walked toward him, my heels clicking on the stone. "I was starting to think you'd stood me up," I called out, trying for playful instead of relieved. He turned, and even in the shadows, I could see the strong jawline, the intense eyes. "I apologize for keeping you waiting." His voice was deeper than I'd expected from our brief phone call, with a faint accent that made my skin tingle. Maybe this night wouldn't be a disaster after all. "Well, you're here now," I said, stepping closer. "And we've got exactly 7 minutes until midnight." He studied me with an expression I couldn't quite read. 7 minutes can change everything. "That's the idea, isn't it?" I was surprised by my own boldness. Maybe it was the champagne, or the dress, or the fact that I'd spent 2 years putting everyone else's needs before my own. I mean, that's why people make such a big deal about midnight kisses, fresh start and all that. You believe in fresh starts? I have to. I'm a kindergarten teacher. Every September is a fresh start for 24 little humans who think glue is a food group. He smiled for the first time, and something in my chest fluttered. That's a lot of responsibility. The best kind. I glanced at my phone. 4 minutes. Should we do the countdown thing, or is that too cheesy? I don't think I've ever counted down to midnight with someone like you. Someone like me? Someone genuine. The word hit differently than I expected. In my world of grocery store budgets and IEP meetings, genuine was just survival. But the way he said it made it sound like something rare. 3 minutes. I should probably know more about you than what was in your profile, I said. Besides the financial advisor thing, what do you do for fun when you're not crunching numbers? He hesitated. I collect vinyl records, jazz mostly, and I restore classic cars when I have time. Really? I would have pegged you for more of a... I paused, realizing I'd been making assumptions based on his profile. Actually, I don't know what I expected. That's kind of the point of these things, right? Getting surprised. Yes, he said softly. The surprises are the best part. 2 minutes. The terrace door opened, and a group of laughing people spilled out, their voices carrying on the cold air. We moved instinctively closer to the edge, away from the crowd, and suddenly we were just inches apart. I'm glad you came, I whispered, looking up at him. This close, I could see the faint lines around his eyes, the shadow of stubble on his jaw. He was more handsome than his photos, which seemed impossible. So am I. 1 minute. Inside, I could hear people starting the countdown. 59, 58, 57. I don't usually do this, I said. The app dating thing. My sister convinced me that I needed to put myself out there again, but I'm terrible at it. I'm awkward and I talk too much when I'm nervous, and I have a 4-year-old son who's autistic and completely amazing, but apparently that's a deal breaker for most guys, so I should probably mention it now before... He cupped my face gently, stopping my rambling. You're not awkward. You're honest. And any man who sees your son as a deal breaker is an idiot. 30 seconds. My heart was hammering so hard I was sure he could feel it. That's a pretty perfect thing to say right before midnight. I have a feeling you deserve perfect. 20 seconds. The countdown grew louder. My hands found his lapels, expensive fabric under my fingertips. His thumb traced my cheekbone, and I forgot about Jake from Tinder. Forgot about 2 years of loneliness. Forgot about everything except this moment. 10, 9, 8. Happy New Year, I breathed. 7, 6, 5. Happy New Year, Madison. 4, 3, 2, 1. The city erupted in cheers and fireworks, but I barely heard them. His lips met mine, and the kiss was everything I hadn't let myself hope for. Gentle at first, then deeper, his hand sliding into my hair while my fingers clutched his jacket like an anchor. He tasted like whiskey and mint, and when he pulled me closer, I melted into him completely. Time stopped. Or maybe it just didn't matter anymore. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, the terrace had mostly cleared. The fireworks were still bursting over the river, painting his face in gold and red and blue. That was... I couldn't find the words. Worth waiting for. He finished. I laughed, giddy and dizzy. I don't even know your last name. That's probably something I should know about the guy I just kissed like that. His expression shifted, something guarded sliding into place. It's... Madison. Emma's voice cut through the moment like a knife. She burst onto the terrace, phone in hand, her face pale. Madison, you need to come with me. Now. The fear in her voice doused my happiness like ice water. What's wrong? It's Noah. Your mom called. He had a massive meltdown at the fireworks. He's okay, but she's at the ER. He hit his head during the episode. My blood went cold. Oh God, I need to... I spun back to Jake, or whatever his name was, my mind already racing ahead to getting my coat, getting my car, getting to my baby. I'm sorry. I have to go. My son... Go, he said immediately. Family first. I was already moving, Emma pulling me toward the door. I'll call you, I shouted over my shoulder, not even sure if he heard me. In the elevator, Emma was giving me details, but I barely processed them. Minor concussion. Just overnight observation. He's asking for you. Each word was a spike of guilt. I shouldn't have left him. I shouldn't have gone out. What kind of mother chooses a party over her child? He's going to be fine, Emma said firmly, reading my mind. Kids have meltdowns. It's not your fault. But it felt like my fault as I ran through the parking garage, my beautiful dress already forgotten. It felt like punishment for daring to want something for myself, for kissing a stranger on a terrace while my son needed me. I didn't even realize until I was halfway to the hospital that I'd never gotten Jake's number, never even learned his last name. The perfect kiss had ended with me running away at midnight like some kind of twisted Cinderella story, leaving behind nothing but a confused financial advisor and the fading taste of what might have been. Noah was asleep when I got there, a small bandage on his forehead, his favorite weighted blanket tucked around him. My mother looked exhausted, and I felt the familiar weight of single parenthood settle back onto my shoulders where it belonged. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart," Mom said. The fireworks just overwhelmed him. He started hitting himself, and before I could stop him, "It's not your fault." I kissed Noah's forehead, breathing in his little boy smell. "I shouldn't have left him. You're allowed to have a life, Madison." But was I? Looking at my son's peaceful face, I wasn't so sure. Maybe some people weren't meant for midnight kisses and fresh starts. Maybe some of us were meant to stay exactly where we were, taking care of the people who needed us most. I spent New Year's Day in the hospital, watching Noah sleep and replaying that kiss in my mind, like a movie I'd never see again. By the time we got home, it felt like it had happened to someone else. Someone who wore emerald dresses and kissed strangers. Someone who wasn't me. Monday morning arrived like a slap of reality. Noah had bounced back from his ER visit with a resilience that always amazed me, but I was running on 2 hours of sleep and 3 cups of coffee that hadn't kicked in yet. The New Year's Eve kiss had been filed away in the mental folder labeled Beautiful Mistakes, right next to my decision to major in education instead of something that paid actual money. "Circle time, friends," I called to my kindergarten class, watching 24 tiny humans try to remember how to sit after 2 weeks of winter break. "Who wants to share what they did on New Year's?" Little Sophia's hand shot up. "My mom kissed my dad at midnight, and I thought it was gross." The class giggled, and I forced a smile while my mind betrayed me with the memory of whiskey and mint and strong hands in my hair. Nope, not going there. "That's wonderful, Sophia. New Year's kisses are a nice tradition." I cleared my throat. "Okay, who else?" By lunch, I'd successfully avoided thinking about him for at least 20 consecutive minutes, which felt like progress. Emma had texted me 5 times asking for details, but I'd been dodging her calls. What was there to tell? I kissed a guy I thought was my Tinder date. My son ended up in the hospital, and I never got Mystery Man's actual contact information. End of story. Except my lips still remembered the kiss, and that was becoming a problem. Miss Harper? Jenny, my teaching assistant, poked her head into the classroom. "Your sister's here. Says it's important." Emma appeared behind her, looking uncharacteristically serious in her catering uniform. "We need to talk. Now." I glanced at my students, who were supposed to be drawing pictures of their winter break. Half of them were eating crayons. "Can it wait until—" Jake never showed up. The words took a second to land. "What?" "Jake from Tinder." I checked the security footage because something was bothering me. He never checked in at the front desk. Madison. Emma pulled out her phone, showing me a photo from the hotel's camera system. "This is Jake from your app, right?" I looked at the screenshot. Average height, brown hair, friendly smile. Nothing like the man I'd kissed. "Oh my God. Yeah, so who did you kiss on that terrace?" My mind raced back through the conversation. The voice, the accent, the expensive suit, the way he'd hesitated when I asked about his last name. He never said he was Jake. I just assumed. "Madison, you kissed a random stranger at midnight." "I know that now." I hissed, aware of 24 sets of little ears supposedly focused on their drawings. What am I supposed to do about it? Well, for starters, you could answer the dozen roses that were delivered to the hotel this morning addressed to you. They came with a card. She handed me her phone again, this time showing a photo of a massive bouquet of white roses. The card, in elegant script, read, "I don't even know your last name, but I can't stop thinking about you. L. Just L." My heart did something stupid and hopeful. How did he know to send them to the hotel? Because apparently he knows me. Madison, I asked around. I think you kissed Lucas Marino. The name meant nothing to me. Should I know who that is? Emma stared at me like I'd grown a second head. Lucas Marino, as in Marino Hotels and Casinos, as in one of the wealthiest families in Philadelphia, as in the guy who owns the building where we were on New Year's Eve. The floor tilted. What? His family's been in the city for generations. Old Italian money, super private, kind of mysterious. He almost never comes to public events, but apparently he was there checking on some renovation work. Emma's eyes were wide. Madison, you kissed a millionaire. Maybe a billionaire. The rumors about his net worth are insane. I sat down hard in my tiny teacher chair, which creaked under my weight. That's not possible. He said he was a financial advisor. Well, technically he advises on finances. His own mostly, along with a real estate empire and about 15 businesses. Emma knelt beside me. He wants to see you again. The roses came with his private number. My phone felt heavy in my pocket. Emma, I'm a kindergarten teacher who lives in a one-bedroom apartment with my autistic son. I buy my clothes at Target. That man lives in a completely different universe. A universe where he can't stop thinking about you, Emma pointed out. Come on, Maddie. When's the last time someone sent you roses? Never. The answer was never. Noah's father had bailed before our son was even born, and the handful of dates I'd attempted since then had been discount dinners and awkward goodbyes. Roses felt like something from another life. I can't, I whispered, even if I wanted to, which I'm not saying I do. What would be the point? He'd meet Noah and realize how complicated my life is, and then I'd just be heartbroken instead of just confused. Or, Emma said gently, he'd surprise you, like he did on New Year's Eve. I thought about that kiss, the way he'd touched my face like I was something precious, the way he'd said any man who saw Noah as a deal-breaker was an idiot. But that was before he knew who I really was, before he understood that dating me meant sensory meltdowns and therapy appointments and a life that revolved entirely around a 4-year-old's needs. I need to think about it, I said finally. Emma squeezed my hand. The number's in my phone when you're ready. I wasn't ready Tuesday, or Wednesday. By Thursday afternoon, I'd convinced myself that the whole thing was just a beautiful anomaly, a shooting star I'd been lucky enough to witness once. Then the elevator at Noah's therapy center changed everything. We'd just finished his occupational therapy session. Noah had done amazing with his fine motor skills, and I was feeling optimistic as we stepped into the elevator with 3 other people. The doors were sliding closed when someone's hand shot through, triggering them to reopen. A man in an expensive charcoal suit stepped inside. Dark hair. Blue eyes that I'd memorized in the 5 minutes before I'd run away from him. Lucas Marino looked just as shocked to see me as I was to see him. Madison. My name sounded different in his voice. Surprised. Pleased. Something else I couldn't identify. Hi. My brain had apparently forgotten all other words in the English language. Noah pressed closer to my side, his hand squeezing mine in the pattern that meant he was getting overwhelmed. Too many people. Too close. The elevator started moving, and I felt his breathing quicken. It's okay, buddy, I murmured. Just a few floors. But it wasn't okay. I felt the tension building in his small body, the warning signs I knew so well. His free hand started flapping, his signal that a meltdown was approaching. The other people in the elevator shifted uncomfortably, and I wanted to disappear. "Excuse me," Lucas said quietly to the other passengers. "Would you mind taking the stairs? It's just 2 floors." Something in his tone made them comply immediately. Within seconds, it was just the 3 of us. He pressed the emergency stop button, and the elevator jerked to a halt between floors. "What are you doing?" I demanded, giving him space. Lucas crouched down, putting himself at Noah's eye level without trying to make eye contact. "Noah, right?" My son had stopped flapping, his attention caught by something. Lucas had started humming. No words, just a low, melodic sound that I recognized after a moment as something classical. Vivaldi, maybe. Noah's breathing began to slow. "You like music?" Lucas continued humming, the sound filling the small space like a weighted blanket made of notes. To my absolute shock, Noah hummed back. Just a few notes, but it was more engagement than he usually showed with strangers. Ever. "He has autism," I said softly, unnecessarily. "Sensory processing issues. Crowds and small spaces can overwhelm him." "I understand." Lucas kept his focus on Noah, still humming that gentle melody. "My youngest cousin has autism. Music helps him too." We stood there, suspended between floors, while Lucas hummed and Noah gradually relaxed. After a few minutes, my son's hand stopped squeezing mine quite so hard. His shoulders dropped from their hunched position. "Better?" Lucas asked him. Noah didn't respond verbally, but he nodded. One small movement that meant the world. Lucas pressed the button to resume the elevator's movement. "I've been hoping to run into you again," he said to me as we descended. "But I didn't expect it to be like this. I didn't expect to run into you at all." The elevator dinged at the ground floor. "How did you even know to send those roses to Emma?" I asked around until I found out who you were. The hotel staff is very loyal, but eventually someone mentioned that the beautiful woman in the green dress was Emma's sister. He smiled slightly. I should apologize for stopping the elevator, but Noah seemed like he needed it. He did. I looked down at my son, who was now watching Lucas with curious eyes. Noah almost never looked directly at people. "Thank you. Would you have coffee with me?" The question came out rushed, like he'd been holding it in. "Or tea, or just a conversation. Whatever works with your schedule." Every logical part of my brain screamed that this was a bad idea, but the part that had kissed him at midnight and felt like she could fly was much, much louder. "I have school until 3, I heard myself say, "and Noah has to bring him." Lucas said it like it was obvious. "There's a cafe 2 blocks from here with a sensory-friendly room. I called ahead yesterday in case I got lucky enough to find you." He'd called ahead, before he even knew if he'd see me again. "Why?" The question escaped before I could stop it. "Why would you do all this for someone you kissed one time by mistake?" Lucas looked at me with those intense blue eyes, and I felt the elevator's movement in my stomach, even though we were standing still on solid ground. "Because it wasn't a mistake," he said simply. "It was the first true thing that's happened to me in years, and I'd like to find out if it could happen again." Noah tugged on my hand, his signal that he was ready to leave. I had about 30 seconds to make a decision that felt much bigger than coffee. "Saturday," I said, 2 o'clock. "But if Noah has a hard time, we leave immediately. No arguments." "No arguments," Lucas agreed. "I'll text you the address." "I don't have your number." He pulled out his phone and handed it to me, already open to a new contact. I typed in my information, my hands shaking slightly. When I handed it back, our fingers brushed, and I felt that same electric current from New Year's Eve. His sharp intake of breath told me he felt it too. The elevator doors opened, and I walked out into the January cold, Noah's hand in mine, and Lucas Marino's eyes on my back. What had I just agreed to? Saturday arrived with 3 outfit changes, a near panic attack, and Noah asking, "Why pretty?" approximately 17 times while I attempted to apply mascara without stabbing myself in the eye. The fact that my 4-year-old had noticed I was dressing differently said everything about how routine my life had become. "We're meeting a friend," I explained, switching to lip gloss because lipstick felt like trying too hard. "Remember the man from the elevator? Lucas?" Noah hummed 3 notes from the melody Lucas had used. My son's memory for music was extraordinary. Melodies stuck with him when words often didn't. "Yes, exactly. We're going to have snacks with him." Snacks. Noah's face lit up. At least someone was enthusiastic about this. The cafe Lucas had chosen was called Harmony Haven, and I immediately understood why. The main area was quiet without being silent, with soft background music and muted colors. But the real gem was visible through a glass wall. The sensory-friendly room, complete with noise-canceling headphones, fidget toys, a small climbing structure, and lighting that didn't buzz or flicker. Lucas was already there, standing when he saw us approach. He'd traded his suit for dark jeans and a navy sweater that did things to his eyes that should probably be illegal. Casual looked good on him. Everything probably looked good on him. "Madison." He smiled, then turned his attention to Noah. "Hey, Noah. Thanks for coming." My son didn't respond, his eyes already locked on the sensory room and its treasures. I'd learned long ago not to force eye contact or social niceties that made him uncomfortable. "There's a keyboard in there," Lucas said conversationally, following Noah's gaze. "It's got a really nice touch. Want to check it out?" Noah's hand slipped from mine, and before I could process it, he was walking toward the room with Lucas beside him. Not touching, not pressuring, just there. I trailed behind, my heart doing complicated things in my chest. The keyboard was indeed nice. Not some plastic toy, but a real digital piano with weighted keys. Lucas sat on the bench and played a simple melody, the same Vivaldi piece from the elevator. Noah climbed up beside him, uncharacteristically close to this man he barely knew. "Want to try?" Lucas shifted over, giving Noah space. Noah's small fingers found the keys, pecking out notes with surprising accuracy. Lucas played a bass line underneath, turning Noah's exploration into something that sounded almost intentional. They went back and forth like that for several minutes, creating a conversation in music that my son could never quite manage with words. I stood there with my coffee getting cold, watching the 2 of them together, and felt something crack open in my chest. This was what Noah needed. Someone who didn't try to force him to be different, who met him in the spaces where he was comfortable. This was also incredibly dangerous for my heart. "He's really musical," Lucas said eventually, still playing softly. "Has he had lessons?" "We can't afford—" I stopped myself. "No, but he loves music. His therapist uses it sometimes." Lucas nodded, not making a big deal of my near admission about our finances. "My cousin Marco, the one I mentioned, he struggled with verbal communication for years. But give him a guitar, and suddenly he's telling you everything. Music is its own language." "You spend a lot of time with your cousin?" "Every Sunday. Family dinner is non-negotiable in Italian households." He glanced at me, something complicated crossing his face. "There are aspects of my family that are challenging. But they're good with Marco. They try, at least." Noah had moved on to the climbing structure, headphones on, completely absorbed in his own world. Lucas and I migrated to a table where I could keep an eye on him while we talked. "I have to be honest with you," I said, wrapped both hands around my coffee mug. "I still don't really understand what you want here. We're from completely different worlds." "Are we?" Lucas leaned back, studying me. You think money is what defines people? I think money changes people, and I think when you have enough of it, you stop understanding what it's like not to. Fair point. He acknowledged it without defense. But I don't know your last name, Madison. I don't know what you studied in college or what you dream about or why you became a teacher. I don't know what kind of books you read or if you're a morning person or what makes you laugh until you can't breathe. Those seem like more important differences to bridge than bank accounts. Harper, I said. My last name is Harper. I studied early childhood education because I wanted to help kids like Noah. I dream about having enough saved for a good school district and maybe someday a house with a yard. I read trashy romance novels because real life requires enough heavy lifting. I'm definitely not a morning person, and Noah makes me laugh every day, even when I'm exhausted. Lucas smiled, and it transformed his whole face. There. Now we're from the same world. The one where people have names and dreams. You make it sound simple. It could be, if you let it. He paused, seeming to choose his words carefully. I should probably tell you that my family has expectations. They want me to marry someone from their social circle, someone who fits into their idea of what my life should look like. I've spent 35 years trying to be what they expect, and I'm tired. Madison, that kiss on New Year's Eve, that was the first time in years I've done something just because I wanted to. And now? I asked quietly. What do you want now? To see if it was real. To see if you felt what I felt. He reached across the table, not quite touching my hand, but close enough that I could feel the warmth of his skin. To get to know the woman who talks too much when she's nervous and has a 4-year-old son who's completely amazing. I remembered saying those exact words on the terrace. He'd been paying attention even when I was rambling. I felt it, I admitted. But feeling something and building something are different things. I have responsibilities, Lucas. Noah comes first, always. I can't date casually or play games. My life is complicated and messy and you think mine isn't? He laughed softly. Madison, I run businesses that employ thousands of people. I have family members who think they own my future. I spend half my time in board meetings and the other half trying to remember why I wanted any of this in the first place. Your life sounds messy and complicated. Mine sounds empty. The honesty in his voice stopped my protests. So, what are you proposing? That we figure it out together, slowly, at whatever pace works for you and Noah. He finally closed the distance, his fingers brushing mine. I'm not asking you to change your life. I'm asking if there's room in it for someone who wants to be there. Noah chose that moment to launch himself off the climbing structure, with a shriek of pure joy, landing in a pile of foam blocks. Several other parents in the main cafe looked over, that familiar mixture of judgment and pity I'd learned to ignore. Lucas just laughed. He's got good airtime. Does he like trampolines? Loves them, but the bounce houses at parties are always too loud and crowded. There's a place in Cherry Hill that does sensory-friendly jump times on Sunday mornings. Marco goes every week. Maybe Noah would like it. I looked at him. This man who sent roses and stopped elevators and played piano with autistic children like it was the most natural thing in the world. This man who came from money but talked about feeling empty. This man who kissed like he meant it and looked at me like I was someone worth finding. I'm scared, I said honestly. I'm scared of wanting this and having it not work out. I'm scared of Noah getting attached to you. I'm scared that your family or your world or just reality will crush this before it even starts. I'm scared too, Lucas admitted. I'm scared of disappointing you. I'm scared I'm too broken from years of living other people's expectations. I'm scared I don't know how to do this. The real thing, not the performance. He squeezed my hand gently. But I think the things worth doing are usually scary. Noah climbed into my lap then, tired from his playing, his weight warm and solid and familiar. Lucas didn't pull back, didn't seem bothered by the interruption. He just kept his hand on the table, an offer I could take or leave. "Sunday mornings," I said. "The trampoline place. If Noah likes it, we could make it a regular thing." "Yeah?" The hope in Lucas's voice was almost painful. "Yeah, but Lucas, you need to understand something. If this goes bad, if you decide one day that my complicated, messy life isn't what you signed up for, I'll survive. I always do. But Noah won't understand. He doesn't make connections easily, and if you become someone important to him and then disappear..." I couldn't finish the sentence. Lucas's jaw tightened. "I wouldn't do that to him. Or to you." "You can't promise that. Nobody can." "You're right, but I can promise to be honest, to tell you if I'm struggling or scared or overwhelmed, to try my best to show up every time until you tell me to stop." He looked at Noah, then back at me. "I can promise that if I'm in, I'm all in. That's the only way I know how to do things." Noah was humming against my chest, the Vivaldi melody woven through with his own improvisations. The sound filled the space between what we were saying and what we meant, a bridge made of music and hope and terrifying possibilities. "All in is scary," I whispered. "Most things worth doing are," Lucas repeated. "You taught me that on a terrace at midnight when you kissed a stranger and made me remember what wanting something feels like." I looked at him, really looked at him, and saw past the expensive clothes and the family name and the net worth I still couldn't quite comprehend. I saw a man who was just as lonely as me, just as tired of going through the motions, just as desperate for something real. "Okay," I said. "Sunday mornings, Cherry Hill. But I'm driving my own car, and if it's awful, we're leaving. Deal." We stayed another hour, talking about small things and big things and everything in between. Lucas told me about his cousin Marco, about Sunday dinners with his large Italian family, about the real estate development he was passionate about that focused on accessible housing. I told him about teaching, about Noah's breakthrough moments, about the terror and joy of single parenthood. When Noah started getting restless, signaling that his tolerance for the outing was ending, Lucas walked us to my car. Not a nice car, a 7-year-old sedan with a car seat permanently installed and goldfish crackers ground into the floor mats. "This is me," I said unnecessarily, gesturing at my vehicle with something like embarrassment. Lucas looked at it like it was the most interesting car in the lot. "It suits you. Practical. Reliable." He grinned. "Good trunk space for groceries." I laughed despite myself. "Are you really complimenting my car's trunk space?" "I'm complimenting everything about you, Madison Harper. I'm just starting with the easy stuff." He helped me buckle Noah into his car seat with surprising competence, then straightened up. "Text me when you get home? So you can make sure we didn't get kidnapped? So I can stop checking my phone every 30 seconds and get some work done." He kissed my cheek, quick and gentle. "Sunday, 10 a.m. I'll meet you there." I drove home with Noah dozing in the back seat and my cheek still warm from Lucas's lips. My phone buzzed at a red light. "Lucas, that was the best Saturday I've had in years. Thank you for giving me a chance." "Me. Don't thank me yet. You haven't seen Noah at full meltdown mode." "Lucas. Yes, I have. The elevator, remember? And he's still the coolest kid I've met." I put my phone down before I could respond, my eyes suddenly burning with tears I didn't want to examine too closely. It had been so long since someone had seen Noah for who he was instead of what he couldn't do. So long since someone had made me feel like I was more than just a mom struggling to keep it together. "Music man," Noah murmured from the back seat, half asleep. "Yeah, buddy. Music man." By the time I got home, Lucas had sent another text, a photo of the piano keys at Harmony Haven, with the caption, "He's got good instincts. Perfect pitch, maybe." I fell asleep that night with my phone on my chest and the memory of a kiss that hadn't been a mistake after all. Maybe, just maybe, it had been exactly what both of us needed. and maybe the scary parts were worth it. Sunday morning at the trampoline park became our ritual, then Sunday lunch, then Tuesday afternoon park visits. Within a month, Lucas had woven himself into our lives so seamlessly that it scared me how natural it felt. "Again!" Noah shrieked, bouncing on the trampoline while Lucas spotted him from the edge. "Okay, one more round. Then we need to go," I called. "Lucas has a thing at 3. "Family dinner," Lucas said, checking his watch. "I'm already going to be late." I felt the familiar pang of guilt. These Sunday gatherings were clearly important to him, but he kept showing up for us instead. "You should go. I'm exactly where I want to be." He caught Noah mid-bounce, swinging him around until my son dissolved into giggles. "Besides, Nona's pot roast will keep. Her disappointment might take longer to fade, but that's nothing new." It was the first hint I'd gotten that his family situation was more complicated than large and loud. Over the past month, Lucas had told me about the Sunday dinners, the sprawling Italian clan, his younger sister Sophia, who he clearly adored. But there was always something he didn't say, a weight behind his words when family came up. "Tell me about Nonna," I said as we walked Noah to the car. "You always mention her first." "Because she runs everything. 78 years old and sharper than any CEO I've met." Lucas smiled, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. "She came over from Sicily when she was 20, married my grandfather, and built half the family fortune herself. When my parents died in a car accident 10 years ago, she took over raising me and Sophia. We'd be lost without her." "But," I prompted gently, "but she has very specific ideas about who I should marry, and how I should run the family businesses, and what the Marino name means." He opened my car door for me, a habit I'd stopped protesting. "She thinks I'm wasting my time with..." He stopped. "With me," I finished. "A kindergarten teacher who lives in a one-bedroom apartment and has a special needs kid. I'm not exactly Italian dynasty material." "Don't." Lucas's voice was sharper than I'd heard it. "Don't put those words in her mouth or mine. She doesn't know about you yet. I haven't told them." That stung more than I wanted to admit. "Why not?" He looked away, jaw tight. "Because the moment I do, it becomes real for them. And then the pressure starts. The expectations. The comparisons to whatever woman they've already decided I should marry." He turned back to me. "I wanted to keep this, us, separate from all that for as long as I could." "Is that selfish?" "It's self-preservation," I said quietly. "I get it. But Lucas, eventually you'll have to tell them, unless this is just..." "It's not just anything." He cupped my face, his thumb brushing my cheekbone. "You're the most real thing in my life, Madison. You and Noah. Everything else feels like playing a part in someone else's story. But this is mine." He kissed me then, soft and sweet and desperate all at once. Noah made an "ew" sound from his car seat, and we broke apart laughing. "Go," I said. "Have dinner with your family. But Lucas? I need to meet them eventually. If we're doing this, really doing this, I need to know what we're up against." "Next Sunday," he promised. "I'll tell them this week. Give them time to adjust before you walk into the lion's den." I watched him drive away in his sleek BMW, a reminder of the different worlds we still inhabited, no matter how many trampoline sessions we shared. The call came Thursday night, while I was grading papers, and Noah was building elaborate towers with his blocks. Lucas's name on my phone screen made me smile, until I heard his voice. "She knows." No greeting, just raw tension. "I don't know how, but Nonna knows about you." My stomach dropped. "What did she say?" "That she wants to meet you. Sunday dinner. No exceptions." Lucas sounded exhausted. "Madison, I'm sorry. I was going to tell them on my terms, but someone must have seen us together and talked. The Philadelphia social circle is small and loves gossip. What did you tell her about me? The truth. That you're a teacher. That you have a son. That He paused. That you're important to me. And she said to bring you to dinner so she can decide if you're suitable. The bitterness in his voice was new. Those were her exact words. Suitable. Like you're a piece of furniture she's considering for the house. I should have been angry. Instead, I just felt tired. This was what I'd been afraid of all along. That his world would never accept mine. That we were building something beautiful on a foundation that couldn't hold. Maybe I shouldn't come, I said quietly. If she's already decided I'm not suitable. No. Lucas's voice was fierce. I want you there. I need you there. Because she's going to push. Madison. She's going to tell me about Veronica Castellano, the perfectly suitable daughter of her business partner who speaks 4 languages and went to Yale and probably practices being the ideal Italian wife in her spare time. Veronica Castellano, I repeated. That's who they want you to marry? That's who they've wanted me to marry for about 10 years now. Our families have been friends forever. It would be good business and good blood and all the other archaic reasons people in our world still arrange marriages. Do you love her? I barely know her. He sighed. We've been at the same events our whole lives. She's nice enough, I suppose, intelligent. But I don't love her, and I never will. She's not you. My heart did that complicated thing again. Lucas, I'm a package deal. If your grandmother meets me, she's going to find out about Noah. And if she's the kind of woman who thinks in terms of suitable matches, she's probably not going to be thrilled about... Then she'll have to adjust, Lucas cut me off. Because I'm not negotiating on this. You and Noah are part of my life now. If she can't accept that, then we have a bigger problem than Sunday dinner. I closed my eyes, thinking about my son building his towers in the living room, oblivious to the complications of the adult world. What if she makes you choose? The silence on the other end lasted too long. Lucas? She can't make me do anything, he finally said. I'm an adult. I run half the family businesses. I can make my own choices. But can you live with disappointing her? With going against her wishes? I already knew the answer. The way he talked about his grandmother, the weight he carried from his parents' death, the responsibility he felt for his younger sister. This was a man who had been taking care of his family for a decade. Walking away from their expectations wasn't as simple as just making a choice. I'm asking you to trust me, Lucas said softly. To give me a chance to handle this. Will you come to dinner? You don't have to bring Noah this first time. Just you, so they can see what I see. And what do you see? Someone who makes me want to be better. Someone who reminds me that life is supposed to be lived, not just managed. He paused. Someone I could love, if you'd let me. The words hung in the air between us, too big and too soon, and exactly what I needed to hear. Okay, I whispered. Sunday dinner. But Lucas, I'm not going to pretend to be someone I'm not. If your grandmother wants suitable, she's going to be disappointed. I'm counting on it, he said, and I could hear the smile in his voice. Madison Harper, you are spectacularly unsuitable in all the best ways. That's why I'm falling for you. After we hung up, I sat with my papers forgotten, watching Noah play. He was humming that Vivaldi melody again, the one Lucas had taught him. My son had been happier these past few weeks, more engaged, more willing to try new things. Lucas had brought music back into his life, and joy back into mine. But at what cost? Saturday. Emma came over to help me pick an outfit for the dinner. We were going through my limited wardrobe when she paused, holding up a simple black dress. "You're really doing this? Walking into the Marino family Sunday dinner?" "Apparently. Maddie, these people are. They're a different breed. Old money, old traditions. Nonna Marino practically runs the Philadelphia Italian community. If she doesn't approve of you, then Lucas will have to decide what he wants more." I took the dress from her. And maybe that's what needs to happen. Better to know now than 6 months from now when Noah's even more attached. He's already attached. I saw them at the park last week. Lucas was teaching him to play Twinkle Twinkle on that keyboard app. Emma's eyes were worried. "If this goes bad, it's going to hurt both of you." "I know." I sat on my bed, the dress in my lap. "But Emma, what am I supposed to do? Tell Lucas we can't see each other because his family might not approve? Protect myself by never taking chances? I'm 31 years old. I can't keep living like I'm afraid of everything." "You're not afraid of everything. You're cautious. There's a difference." "Is there?" I thought about New Year's Eve, about kissing a stranger on a terrace, about saying yes to coffee, to trampoline parks, to Sunday afternoons that had become the highlight of my week. Maybe I've been using caution as an excuse to never risk anything. Emma hugged me. "You're one of the bravest people I know. Raising Noah on your own. Don't let some rich family make you feel like you're not enough." But as Sunday approached, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was walking into something that would change everything. Lucas texted me constantly. Encouragement, terrible jokes, photos of Noah's favorite things that he'd noticed and remembered. He was trying so hard to make this work. Sunday morning, I dropped Noah off at my mother's house. He cried when he realized Lucas wouldn't be there, which made me cry, which made my mother give me a look that said, "I told you this was a bad idea," without saying a word. "Be yourself," she said, finally hugging me. "If they don't like you, they're idiots." The Marino house wasn't a house. It was an estate in Chestnut Hill, behind gates that probably cost more than my entire apartment building. Lucas met me at the door, in slacks and a button-down that made him look like he'd stepped out of a magazine. "You look beautiful," he said, kissing me quickly. "Are you ready?" "No, but let's do this anyway." He took my hand, and we walked into a dining room where an entire dynasty was waiting to judge me. Nonna Marino sat at the head of a table that could seat 20. She was tiny, barely 5 feet, but commanded the space like a general. Sharp eyes took me in from head to toe in approximately 3 seconds. "So," she said in accented English, "you are the kindergarten teacher." It wasn't a question. It was an assessment. "Yes, ma'am. I teach at—" "I know where you teach. I know where you live. I know about your son." She gestured to the seat across from Lucas. "Sit. We eat, then we talk." I looked at Lucas, who squeezed my hand once before letting go. His jaw was tight, his shoulders tense. This was a battlefield, and dinner was just the opening move. I sat down, surrounded by Marinos who would decide if I was suitable for their golden boy, and I had no idea how to win a war I'd never wanted to fight. Dinner at the Marino estate was like watching a play where everyone knew their lines except me. Lucas's sister, Sophia, a stunning 28-year-old architect, tried to be friendly. His uncle Antonio discussed real estate markets. His cousin Marco, the one with autism Lucas had mentioned, sat quietly at the end of the table, occasionally humming to himself. But all of it happened under Nonna's watchful gaze, and I felt every bite of pot roast stick in my throat. "So, Miss Harper," Nonna set down her wineglass with deliberate precision. "Lucas tells me you have been seeing each other for several weeks now." 5 weeks, I confirmed. "Though it feels longer. In a good way," I added quickly. "And your son, he is 4 years old?" "Yes, ma'am. Noah just turned 4 in November. Autistic, I understand." She said it clinically, like discussing a business proposition. That must be very difficult for you. Lucas stiffened beside me. But I dealt with this my whole life. Noah is the best thing that ever happened to me. He sees the world differently, and he's teaching me to do the same. Noble. Nona's expression didn't change. But surely you understand that children require certain accommodations. Lucas has responsibilities to this family. His time is valuable. Nonna, Lucas warned, his voice tight. I am simply stating facts. Mio nipote. She turned those sharp eyes on me. You seem like a nice girl, Miss Harper. I am sure you are a good mother. But you must understand. Lucas is not just any man. He carries our family name. He will inherit businesses worth hundreds of millions. His choice of wife affects all of us. I'm not asking to be his wife, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. We're just getting to know each other. Nothing is just anything when you are a Merino. Nonna dabbed her mouth with her napkin. I have lived 88 years, and I have seen many relationships that seemed promising at first. But love is not enough when the worlds do not match. Sophia cleared her throat. Nonna, maybe we should... I am not finished, Sophia. Nonna kept her focus on me. Miss Harper, I am going to be honest with you, which is more respect than most would give. You are clearly intelligent. You work hard. You love your son. These are admirable qualities. But Lucas needs someone who understands our world. Someone who can stand beside him at charity galas and business dinners. Someone who speaks the language, literally and figuratively, of our community. Someone like Veronica Castellano? I asked quietly. The table went silent. Nonna's eyebrows rose. He told you about Veronica. He tells me about everything, Lucas interjected, because that's what people do when they actually care about each other, not when they're negotiating business arrangements disguised as marriages. Luca. His grandmother's voice sharpened. You will not speak to me that way. Then you will not speak about Madison like she's inadequate for consideration. Lucas pushed back from the table. She's not a business proposal you can reject. She's a person I care about. A person who makes me happy. When's the last time you considered that in your matching equations? Happiness? Nonna laughed, but there was no humor in it. Your grandfather and I had an arranged marriage. We learned to love each other through respect and partnership. Your parents were the same. This fantasy of marrying for passion, it is American nonsense that leads to divorce and ruin. My parents loved each other, Lucas said fiercely. I watched them every day of my childhood. That wasn't obligation. That was real. They loved each other because they were compatible. Same background, same values, same world. Nonna stood, somehow still commanding despite her small stature. I do not say this to be cruel, Miss Harper, but I must protect my grandson, and I do not think you can give him what he needs. I felt something crack inside me. Not quite breaking, but definitely damaged. She wasn't wrong exactly. I couldn't give Lucas black-tie dinners and business connections. I couldn't navigate his world of wealth and expectations. I was just a kindergarten teacher who bought her clothes at Target and counted pennies to make rent. You're right, I heard myself say. Lucas whipped around to stare at me. You're right that our worlds don't match. I can't give him what someone like Veronica could. I don't know how to be a Merino wife. Madison, don't, Lucas started. But I can give him something real, I continued, my voice stronger now. I can give him honesty. I can give him someone who sees him for who he is, not what he represents. I can give him laughter and Sunday mornings at trampoline parks and a little boy who thinks he hung the moon. I stood, meeting Nonna's gaze. You're measuring me against standards that don't matter. Can I navigate your social circles? No. But can I make your grandson happy? Ask him. Every eye turned to Lucas. "She makes me feel alive," he said quietly. "For the first time since Mom and Dad died, I feel like I'm living my own life instead of just managing theirs. When I'm with Madison and Noah, I remember who I wanted to be before I became who everyone needed me to be." He looked at his grandmother. "I love you, Nona. You saved me and Sophia when we lost everything. But I can't marry Veronica to make you happy. I can't spend the rest of my life in a comfortable cage." Nona was quiet for a long moment. "And if I ask you to choose, family or this woman?" "Don't." Sophia's voice was sharp. "Nona, don't make him choose. That's not fair." "Life is not fair, Mia cara. Life is about duty and family and protecting what matters." Nona turned back to Lucas. "I am asking, your family's expectations, your position, your responsibilities, or her?" My heart stopped. This was it. The moment I'd been afraid of since that first kiss. Lucas was going to have to choose, and no matter what he picked, someone would be destroyed. "I choose myself," Lucas said finally. "I choose to build a life that's mine, not a legacy I inherited. I choose to be happy instead of dutiful. And yes, Nona, I choose Madison. Because she's the first person in 10 years who made me remember that I'm allowed to want things." The silence that followed was deafening. Nona's face was unreadable. "Then you choose to disappoint everyone who depends on you. Everyone who sacrificed for you. You choose to throw away your responsibilities for a woman you've known 5 weeks. "I choose to finally live," Lucas corrected. "And if you can't support that, I'm sorry. But I'm done apologizing for wanting to be happy." I grabbed his hand, my eyes burning. "Lucas, wait. You don't have to." "Yes, I do." He pulled me toward the door. "I'm sorry, Nona, but I can't do this anymore." We left to the sound of Sophia calling after us and Nona's heavy silence. Lucas didn't speak until we were in his car, his hands shaking on the steering wheel. "Did I just ruin everything?" he asked. "I don't know," I answered honestly. "But thank you for choosing me, for choosing yourself." He kissed me then, desperate and scared, and absolutely certain all at once. I meant every word. "You and Noah. You're my life now. Everything else is just noise." But as we drove away from the Marino estate, I couldn't shake the feeling that we'd just jumped off a cliff together, and I had no idea if there was anything to catch us at the bottom. The fallout was swift and brutal. By Monday morning, Lucas's phone was exploding with calls from family members, business partners, and people whose opinions apparently mattered in his world. He ignored most of them, but I saw the tension building in his shoulders, the way his jaw stayed tight, even when he smiled at Noah. "You should call your grandmother back," I said Tuesday evening. We were at my apartment, eating takeout pizza while Noah played with the toy keyboard Lucas had bought him. "Lucas, you can't just cut off your entire family." "I'm not cutting them off. I'm setting boundaries." He stabbed at his pizza. "There's a difference." "Is there?" "Because it looks like you're choosing me over them, and that's not sustainable. Eventually, you'll resent me for it." "I could never resent you." He pulled me closer. "Madison, I meant what I said. I'm done living someone else's life." But even as he said it, I saw the pain in his eyes. This was costing him, and I didn't know how to make it right. Wednesday, Sophia showed up at my classroom after school. I found her waiting by my car, elegant in a designer coat that probably cost more than my monthly salary. "I'm not here to yell at you," she said immediately, "though half the family thinks I should." "And the other half?" thinks Lucas finally grew a spine. She smiled slightly. "Can we talk? Just for a few minutes?" We sat in my car while Noah waited with Emma. Sophia was quiet for a moment, then, My brother has always been the golden child. Perfect grades, perfect manners, perfect everything. After our parents died, he stepped up and became the man of the family at 25. He gave up his own dreams to run the businesses Dad left behind. He gave up dating anyone he actually liked because Nona had opinions. He gave up being young. I didn't know, I said quietly. Of course you didn't. Lucas doesn't talk about it. He just does what needs to be done. Sophia looked at me. But then you happened. And for the first time in 10 years, I saw my actual brother again. The one who used to play piano for hours and talk about maybe being a music teacher. The one who laughed. Sophia, I don't want to be the reason he loses his family. You're not. We're the reason he almost lost himself. She handed me a card with an address. Can you come here Saturday afternoon? Bring Noah. There's something you need to see. The address led to a warehouse in an industrial area I'd never been to. Lucas was already there, along with Sophia, Marco, and a construction crew. What is this? I asked, Noah's hand in mine. Lucas's smile was nervous and hopeful, and absolutely devastating. Come inside. The warehouse was being transformed. I could see the bones of what it would become, high ceilings, natural light, open spaces. But the real magic was in the details. Rooms with specialized acoustic panels, areas marked for different therapy equipment, a stage with professional sound equipment. It's a music therapy center, Lucas explained, for kids like Noah and Marco, kids who process the world through sound and rhythm. A place where they can learn and grow and just be themselves without anyone judging them for being different. I couldn't breathe. Lucas, this is expensive? Yeah. But I have money sitting in accounts doing nothing. At least this way it means something. He crouched down to Noah's level. What do you think, buddy? Cool place for music? Noah hummed his approval, already exploring the space with Marco. There's more, Sophia said gently. Show her the office, Luca. Lucas led me to a smaller room at the back. Inside was a desk, a computer, and a wall of windows overlooking the main therapy space. A plaque on the door read, Madison Harper, Program Director. I can't accept this, I whispered. It's not a gift. It's a job offer. Lucas handed me a folder. Full salary, benefits, the works. You'd develop the curriculum, hire the therapists, run the programs. It's your expertise, Madison. Your understanding of how kids like Noah learn and communicate. I'm just providing the building and the funding. I opened the folder with shaking hands. The salary was 3 times what I made teaching. The benefits included health care that would actually cover Noah's therapies. This is too much. It's not enough. Lucas's voice was rough. Madison, I'm trying to show you that I'm serious. About you. About Noah. About building a life that matters. I don't want to just write checks to charity galas. I want to create something real. Something that helps kids who need it. He took my hands. Something we can build together. Your grandmother approved the funding yesterday? Sophia leaned against the doorframe. Turns out when Lucas actually explained what he wanted to do instead of just arguing, Nona listened. She's still not thrilled about the relationship, but she respects the work. It's a start. I looked out at the space that would become a sanctuary for kids like my son. Then at Lucas, who was watching me with his heart in his eyes. Then at Noah and Marco, already making music together in their own unique way. This is really happening? I asked. If you want it to be. Lucas pulled me close. All of it. The center, us, a life we build together. I'm not saying it'll be easy. My family is still going to have opinions. There will be galas I have to attend, and business dinners where you might feel out of place. But we'll figure it out together. Because you were right that night at dinner. What matters isn't whether our worlds match. What matters is whether we're willing to build a new one. I kissed him then, surrounded by the framework of a dream I hadn't known was possible. Yes, to all of it. The job, the life, the terrifying leap into the unknown. Yeah? His smile could have lit the entire warehouse. Yeah. But Lucas, I need you to promise me something. Anything. Don't lose yourself trying to make me fit into your world, and don't lose your family trying to prove something to them. We find the balance together, or we don't do this at all. Together? He agreed. Always together. 6 months later, the Harper Marino Music Therapy Center opened with a ribbon-cutting ceremony that made local news. Nonna showed up in her finest dress and told a reporter that her grandson had finally found his purpose. It wasn't quite approval, but it was close enough. A year after that, Lucas proposed on the same terrace where we'd first kissed, with Noah holding the ring box and humming the wedding march in his own special key. I said yes, surrounded by fireworks and family, both the one I was born into and the complicated, difficult, wonderful one I was marrying into. We had a son together 2 years later, a daughter the year after that. Noah became the center's unofficial ambassador, showing new families that different isn't less. Lucas played piano at every graduation ceremony, and I built programs that helped hundreds of kids find their voices through music. It wasn't always easy. There were still family dinners where Nonna made pointed comments, still galas where I felt like an imposter in borrowed jewelry, still moments when Lucas's world and mine collided in uncomfortable ways. But there were also Sunday mornings at the trampoline park with our growing family, nights when Lucas would soothe our crying baby with the same Vivaldi melody he'd first hummed to Noah in an elevator. Moments when I looked around at the life we'd built and couldn't believe it was real. "Do you ever regret it?" I asked him one night, years into our marriage. "Choosing me over the easy path?" Lucas pulled me closer, his hand finding mine like it always did. "I didn't choose you over anything. I chose us over nothing. There's a difference." "That's very philosophical for midnight," I teased. "That's what happens when you kiss a stranger on New Year's Eve," he murmured against my hair. "You end up spending the rest of your life getting philosophical at midnight." "Best mistake I ever made." "Wasn't a mistake," he corrected, just like he had that first night at the cafe. It was the first true thing that happened to either of us in years. He was right. That mistaken kiss had led to this. A life built on honesty and music and love that refused to fit anyone's expectations. We'd built our own world, one Sunday morning at a time, one therapy session, one laugh, one struggle at a time, and it was more than suitable. It was perfect.